Haters are everywhere, and the more you rise, the louder they seem to get. They lurk in the shadows, sometimes in plain sight, watching, waiting, hoping to see you stumble. You don't even have to do anything wrong for them to exist. Your light alone is enough to irritate their darkness. The way you move, the way you carry yourself, the way you shine in spaces where others shrink, those are the sparks that attract envy. People can't always handle seeing someone walking boldly in their purpose. So instead of applauding, they criticize. Instead of lifting you up, they try to tear you down. But here's the secret. You don't have to lift a single finger to defeat them. You don't have to argue. You don't have to fight. You don't even have to explain yourself. The mere fact that you keep showing up, keep breathing, keep being who you were born to be, that's already enough to silence them without saying a word. See, the thing about haters is they feed off reaction. They live for your attention. They survive on your response. The moment you argue back, the moment you let their words sink into your spirit, you've given them power they never deserved. But when you remain calm, when you continue moving forward, when you keep your eyes fixed on your own lane, you take away the only thing they were ever hungry for. You starve them with silence. You beat them with your peace. You confuse them with your consistency. That is how you defeat haters without doing a single thing, by refusing to play their game. Because let's be real, if someone's talking about you, it means you're already doing something worth noticing. Nobody hates on the invisible. Nobody wastes their breath on the ordinary. If they've chosen to put your name in their mouth, it means your presence is big enough to echo in their small world. That's not a curse. That's a compliment in disguise. Every whisper against you is a sign you've got something they wish they had, a strength they can't understand, a spirit they can't copy. Instead of letting that break you, let it remind you of your value. Let it remind you that your life is loud enough to shake people who never even met you. So don't bother plotting revenge. Don't waste nights crafting explanations for people committed to misunderstanding you. Don't get distracted by the noise of voices that don't pay your bills. Don't walk in your shoes. Don't carry your burdens. Just live. Just rise. Just continue becoming who you were meant to be. Haters will exhaust themselves trying to throw stones at a mountain too tall to move. They'll wear out their breath trying to curse what was already blessed. And the beauty of it all is, you don't have to lift a hand. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't even have to acknowledge them. Your existence, your progress, your peace, that alone is the victory. Haters feed on reaction. Silence starves them. That single truth is one of the most powerful tools you can ever carry with you in life. The moment you begin to understand how deeply people rely on your response, you start to recognize how much control you actually have. Think about it. When someone goes out of their way to criticize you, mock you, or spread negativity about you, what is it they are truly waiting for? They are not after facts. They are not after clarity. They are not even after justice. They are after your reaction. They want to see if they can break you, if they can get under your skin, if they can shake the foundation you stand on. It is the reaction that fuels their fire, and without it, they are left powerless, talking to the wind. It's human nature to want to defend yourself, to clap back, to prove them wrong, to show the world that the lies being told are nothing but smoke and mirrors. But here's the problem. Every time you engage, you shift your focus away from your goals and onto the noise. That's exactly what they wanted from the start. They can't reach your level, so they try to drag you into theirs. By responding, you step down into the mud they live in. And once you're there, the battle is never ending. Silence, on the other hand, is like shutting the door in their face without even giving them a chance to step in. It keeps your energy intact, your mind clear, and your spirit unbothered. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength disguised. It takes far more courage to walk away and not respond than it does to lash out. Anybody can yell back, but it takes discipline to keep moving without flinching. Your silence sends a louder message than any argument could ever deliver. It says, you don't control me, you don't deserve my energy, you don't even exist in the lane I'm running. That kind of posture frustrates haters more than anything because they thrive on conflict. Without it, they suffocate. Look at the pattern. When you ignore negativity, eventually it dies down. People lose interest when there's no drama attached. Gossip fades when it doesn't get a reaction. Haters will move on to their next target because the silence you've given them starves the attention they crave. But if you keep responding, you're not only feeding them, you're teaching them that you're easily moved. That every word they throw your way can dictate your mood, your choices, and your time. Do you really want to hand that kind of control to people who don't matter? And think about the emotional cost of constantly reacting. Every clapback drains a little bit of your peace. Every argument steals a little bit of your joy. Every late night replay of what you should have said steals precious time you could have invested in your own growth. Silence protects that peace. It keeps your soul untangled from battles that were never yours to fight in the first place. There's also a hidden beauty in silence. It creates mystery. When you don't respond, people start to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, how much further you're about to go. That mystery is power. Haters can't handle not knowing if they touched you. They can't handle the fact that while they're wasting time talking, you're still moving, still building, still becoming. That's the ultimate sting, not the comeback they were expecting, but the reality that their words never slowed you down. At the core, haters are hungry for relevance in your life. Silence is the ultimate starvation diet. It denies them the relevance they want, it denies them the stage they're begging for, and it keeps your spotlight right where it belongs, on your journey, your mission, and your growth. When you master the art of silence in the face of negativity, you discover that you don't have to fight every battle to win. Some wars are won by refusing to show up at all. Your progress is their greatest discomfort. The more you rise, the more some people will struggle to handle it. Progress has a way of revealing insecurities in others, not because you are doing anything to them directly, but because your growth becomes a mirror they cannot escape. When you step into a new level of success, when you start achieving goals that once felt impossible, when you begin to carry yourself with confidence and purpose, people who are stagnant will feel exposed. Your light doesn't just shine on your path. It shines on their lack of movement, their hesitation, their procrastination, and that is often too heavy for them to bear. Instead of being inspired by your journey, they choose to be irritated by it. The interesting part is that progress isn't always about money, fame, or public recognition. Sometimes your progress is simply your peace of mind, your ability to smile again after pain, your resilience after being knocked down, your consistency when others quit. Even that is enough to make people uncomfortable, because when someone is stuck in their own bitterness, seeing you joyful without explanation unsettles them. When someone has given up on their dreams, watching you pursue yours relentlessly makes them restless. Your progress silently challenges them to reflect on their own choices, and most would rather hate you than face themselves. It's important to recognize that discomfort in others is not a reflection of you doing something wrong. It's a reflection of them seeing something in you they haven't cultivated in themselves. It might be your discipline, your courage, your faith, or your ability to remain focused while others get distracted. Whatever it is, it stirs something in them that feels like a reminder of what they lack. And since it's easier to point fingers than to self-reflect, they project their frustration onto you. That projection shows up in criticism, gossip, sarcasm, and sometimes outright hate. But at its core, it's not really about you. It's about what your progress represents. This is why you can't slow down for the sake of making others feel comfortable. If your growth makes someone uneasy, that's their lesson to confront, not your responsibility to fix. Too often people dim their own light, shrink their own potential, and silence their own voice just to avoid making others uncomfortable. But the truth is, no matter how small you make yourself, somebody will still find a reason to be unsettled. If you win, they'll hate. If you lose, they'll talk. If you stand still, they'll still judge. So why not progress anyway? Why not keep pushing forward, knowing that your very existence is proof that growth is possible? Progress also exposes the difference between those who genuinely support you and those who only tolerate you. Pay attention when you win. True friends celebrate. Real supporters cheer louder than you. But those who are secretly uncomfortable will show it in subtle ways. The forced congratulations, the silence when you share good news, the sudden distance when you elevate. This isn't something to grieve, it's something to notice. Progress has a way of clearing the path around you, shaking off those who were never meant to run with you in the first place. And here's the irony. While haters are busy being uncomfortable with your progress, they don't realize that their negativity is fuel. Every side comment, every doubt, every whispered insult becomes confirmation that you're moving in the right direction, because nobody talks about someone going nowhere. Nobody wastes energy on the ordinary. The more they squirm, the more you should know you're advancing. Their discomfort is the alarm bell of your success. So let them watch, let them whisper, let them carry the weight of their own uneasiness. Your responsibility is to keep progressing, to keep proving to yourself what you're capable of, and to keep stepping into the version of you that they said could never exist. Progress is not only your victory, it is also the sharpest reminder to those around you that excuses don't build futures, effort does. And the fact that your forward movement makes them uncomfortable only means you are doing exactly what you were meant to do. Grow beyond the limits they thought would hold you forever. Attention fuels them. Peace disarms them. Haters are like fire. They thrive when they are fed, and the food they crave is your attention. The moment you give them energy, even in the smallest way, they grow stronger. Whether it's replying to their negativity, arguing with their comments, or even just showing frustration about what they said, all of it becomes fuel. They don't necessarily need you to agree with them, they just need you to notice them. That notice is their victory, because it means they got inside your head. They took up space in your thoughts, and they managed to pull you into their world. That's all they want. To prove they matter in your life, even if it's through negativity. The strange part about attention is that it doesn't always come in the form of direct responses. Even when you dwell on their words in silence, you are still giving them room to grow. If you replay their insults over and over in your mind, if you adjust your actions because of their judgments, if you let their negativity shape how you see yourself, then you've allowed their presence to linger far beyond the moment they spoke. That is still fuel. It means they've succeeded in planting seeds of doubt that you water with your own energy. That is why mastering peace is such a powerful defense. It robs them of the attention they were craving. Peace is not about pretending the hate doesn't exist. Peace is about choosing not to let it control you. It's a decision to keep your mind steady even when the noise around you is loud. It's deciding that your joy, your progress, your sense of self-worth are not up for negotiation just because someone else is uncomfortable with them. When you embody peace, you become untouchable. Haters can shout, mock, and plot, but none of it lands because your spirit is no longer reactive. That lack of reaction is what disarms them. They expected anger, they expected tears, they expected you to lash back so they could feel validated. Instead, all they get is silence and calm. That's more painful to them than any comeback you could ever create. The truth is, attention is a form of power. Wherever you place it, you give life. If you focus on the negativity, it grows. If you focus on your mission, it grows. If you focus on peace, it multiplies. Haters know this, even if only subconsciously. That's why they aim so hard to break your focus. They don't want you locked in on your goals, because that makes you unstoppable. They want you distracted, tangled in petty battles, drained by arguments, too exhausted to pour into your own dreams. Peace denies them that win. It keeps your focus where it belongs, on you, your growth, your purpose. When you walk in peace, you also shift the atmosphere around you. People can sense it. They notice when you're no longer shaken by criticism. They notice when your joy doesn't fade in the face of gossip. That kind of presence makes haters nervous, because it means they have no influence over you. And when someone realizes they no longer have the ability to affect your emotions, they lose interest. They cannot survive in a space where peace is the dominant energy, because their chaos finds no place to land. Peace also creates clarity. When you are at peace, you don't waste energy deciphering lies, defending your reputation, or chasing after approval. You see things as they are. You understand that the words of a hater say more about them than about you. You recognize that their attacks are confessions of their own insecurities, and instead of absorbing that poison, you let it pass by. That kind of clarity frees you to keep moving without carrying unnecessary weight. Attention is their weapon, but peace is your shield. The less you give, the weaker they become. The calmer you remain, the more powerless they feel. It is not about ignoring reality. It's about mastering yourself to the point where reality cannot control you. That is how you win without lifting a hand, by realizing that every ounce of peace you protect within yourself is another flame of theirs that dies out in the cold. Criticism is proof of your impact. People don't waste energy on someone who isn't moving, someone who isn't achieving, someone who isn't visible. If no one has anything to say about you, chances are you're not making enough noise to be noticed. The very fact that people take the time to criticize you means you've done something to catch their attention. It means your life, your work, or your growth has stirred something in them strong enough to provoke a response. Whether that response comes in the form of whispers behind your back, harsh words to your face, or passive-aggressive comments online, it all points to the same truth: you've made an impact. Criticism often disguises itself as negativity, but at its root, it is acknowledgement. It is evidence that you are present, that you matter, that your actions are being seen. Haters don't chase after the invisible. They don't waste breath on those who are stagnant. They aim for people who are moving forward, because forward movement is what exposes their lack of motion. Every insult thrown your way, every attempt to tear you down, is an indirect admission that you are ahead. They see you shining, and instead of celebrating, they criticize because it's easier than confronting their own reflection. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing criticism is a sign of failure. But if you shift your perspective, you begin to realize it's one of the clearest markers of success. The higher you climb, the stronger the wind gets. Airplanes don't feel turbulence on the ground. They feel it when they take flight. The same is true with life. Criticism comes because you've elevated. It shows up when you're no longer on the same level as everyone else. And the louder it gets, the greater the sign that you've truly broken through. Think about history. Every figure who ever made a difference was criticized. Innovators, leaders, artists, dreamers, they all faced resistance. Not because they were doing something wrong, but because they were doing something different. Their boldness made people uncomfortable. Their progress made others insecure. Their vision made those without vision feel exposed. You are no different. If you're moving in purpose, you will attract both praise and criticism, but it's the criticism that confirms you are stretching beyond the ordinary. Criticism also teaches you something about resilience. It forces you to decide whether you're living for approval or for purpose. If approval is your goal, criticism will crush you. But if purpose is your focus, criticism becomes background noise. It loses its sting because you understand it doesn't define you. What defines you is your persistence, your consistency, your willingness to keep going regardless of how loud the doubters become. In fact, every time you keep moving after being criticized, you prove not only to them, but to yourself that your purpose is stronger than their opinions. Another hidden truth about criticism is that it means people are paying attention. For every critic, there are silent watchers who may be inspired by you. They see how you handle the negativity, how you rise above it, how you keep showing up despite it. Your response to criticism becomes a lesson for them, a guide for their own journey. Without realizing it, your ability to handle hate with grace can encourage someone else to keep going in the face of their own resistance. So the next time criticism comes, remind yourself of what it really means. It's not just negativity. It's not just words meant to tear you down. It is proof that your presence has been felt, that your actions have been noticed, and that your life is making waves big enough to disturb stagnant waters. That is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to embrace as a sign that you are exactly where you're supposed to be on a path that others can't ignore, no matter how much they wish they could. Living your purpose is the ultimate defeat. When you know why you're here, when you understand the calling over your life, when you walk in alignment with that calling, there is nothing a hater can do to stop you. They can talk, they can scheme, they can throw stones from the sidelines, but none of it can block what was already written for you. Purpose is bigger than opinions. Purpose is stronger than gossip. Purpose is the shield that allows you to keep moving forward even when the road is filled with resistance. The most powerful way to silence hate is not through words, not through retaliation, but through unwavering commitment to becoming who you were created to be. Purpose gives you a different kind of fuel. It pulls you out of bed in the morning when everything around you feels heavy. It whispers to you in the dark when the noise of the world gets too loud. It reminds you that the reason you started is greater than the reason others want you to quit. That kind of focus is untouchable. Haters might try to throw distractions your way, but when you're locked into your purpose, distractions look small. They might try to discourage you, but when you know you're walking in the right direction, their words lose power. They can't compete with destiny. What makes living in your purpose so threatening to others is that it exposes the fact that they are not living in theirs. When you boldly step into your lane, you force others to look at the empty space in their own lives. Your courage highlights their fear, your consistency highlights their excuses, your success highlights their stagnation. Instead of taking that as motivation, many will twist it into resentment. But that resentment is really just confirmation that you are doing what they could not bring themselves to do. And the more you live in your purpose, the more their attempts to pull you down fail. Living with purpose also gives you resilience. You stop being swayed by every opinion. You stop bending to fit the expectations of others. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your calling. Purpose gives you tunnel vision, and that vision keeps you grounded when the voices of doubt get louder. It builds an inner strength that no external force can break. Haters rely on your insecurity, but purpose erases insecurity because it gives you certainty. You no longer wonder if you belong, you know you do. You no longer question if you're capable, you know you are. That confidence is something they can't shake, no matter how hard they try. There's also a freedom that comes with purpose. When you live in alignment, you stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who will never clap for you. Instead, you find joy in the work itself, in the growth, in the journey. That freedom disarms haters because their entire power comes from trying to control how you see yourself. If they can't control that, they can't touch you. The more you embrace your purpose, the less room they have to operate in your world. Purpose also creates a legacy. When you stay committed to your path, your life becomes bigger than temporary opinions. Years from now, people won't remember the critics, but they will remember the impact of your work. They won't recall the negativity, but they will recall the lives you touched, the dreams you inspired, the change you sparked. That's why living in purpose is the greatest form of revenge. It ensures that when the noise dies down, your influence remains. While haters fade into the background, your purpose keeps echoing forward, stronger than ever. Living your purpose is not about proving anyone wrong, but it ends up doing exactly that. Every step you take toward your destiny, every milestone you achieve, every obstacle you overcome becomes undeniable evidence that the hate was powerless. You don't have to fight, you don't have to argue, you don't have to convince. Your life itself becomes the proof, and there is no louder answer to hate than a life fully lived in alignment with what you were meant to do.